I know when you feel tired or are going to the gym, you grab a can of energy drink to make your day easier. That quick buzz feels great, but your kidneys are working double time to clean out the intense mix of caffeine and sugar you just drank. It is easy to ignore the physical cost when you just want to stay awake or hit a new goal at the gym. So just stay with me because I am going to talk about the hidden stress and load these drinks put on your kidneys. The nephron under fire. Let's get real about what happens inside your body the second that energy drink hits your system. You're looking for a boost, but your kidneys are actually bracing for impact. Think of your kidneys as a high-tech filtration plant, and the main workers there are called nephrons. Each kidney has about 1 million of these tiny units, and their job is to keep your blood clean. But here is the problem. When you dump a massive dose of stimulants into your gut, your brain sends a panic signal to your sympathetic nervous system. It starts pumping out epinephrine, which most of us know as adrenaline. While that adrenaline makes you feel like you can crush a workout or stay up all night, it acts like a literal chokehold on your renal anatomy. Specifically, it targets the afferent arteriole, which is basically the feeder pipe that brings blood into the filtration unit. When that pipe tightens up due to vasoconstriction, the physics inside your kidney change instantly. You might think less blood going in means less work, but it's the exact opposite. Because that feeder vessel is constricted, the kidney has to crank up the internal pressure just to keep things moving. And this leads to a dangerous state called glomerular capillary hypertension. Imagine trying to force a gallon of thick syrup through a tiny needle. The pressure buildup is immense. This isn't just a temporary oops for your body. If you're slamming these drinks every day, that high-pressure environment becomes your new normal. Over time, that delicate tissue can't take the pounding anymore. The tiny filters start to develop something called sclerosis, which is just a fancy medical term for scarring. Once a nephron is scarred, it's basically dead. It stops filtering, it stops helping you, and it never comes back. You're essentially trading the long-term structural integrity of your internal filtration system for a 3-hour buzz. When you see it from the perspective of those tiny, overworked vessels, that quick pick-me-up starts to look a lot more like a wrecking ball. You are forcing a system designed for steady, calm filtration to operate like a pressure cooker that's about to blow its lid. And eventually, the hardware just gives out. Caffeine's diuretic domino effect. Now we talk about why you're constantly running to the bathroom after an energy drink and why that's actually a huge red flag for your renal health. It all comes down to how caffeine plays mind games with your kidneys. In a normal, healthy state, your body is a master at recycling. It filters water out and then carefully pulls most of it back into your bloodstream so you don't shrivel up. But caffeine is an adenosine receptor antagonist. That sounds like a mouthful, but it basically means caffeine blocks the stop signals in your kidneys. Usually, as your proximal tubules reabsorb sodium to keep your chemistry balanced. Caffeine steps in, breaks that process, and forces your body to dump sodium into your urine. Since water is chemically obsessed with sodium, it follows the salt right out of your body. This is the classic diuretic effect, but the consequences are way deeper than just needing to find a restroom every 20 minutes. As you lose all that water, your total plasma volume, the liquid part of your blood, starts to tank. This is where things get really ugly and where the sludge factor comes into play. When your water levels drop, your blood doesn't just stay the same, it actually gets thicker and more viscous. Your heart has to work harder to pump this sludgy blood, and your glomerular filtration rate, or GFR, begins to slide downward. And this GFR number is the gold standard for how well your kidneys are working. When it drops, your kidneys lose their ability to flush out the literal trash in your system. Metabolic waste, toxins, and minerals start to hang around longer than they should. This creates the absolute perfect storm for kidney stones. Specifically, you get a buildup of calcium oxalate crystals. Because there isn't enough water to keep these minerals dissolved and moving, they start to find each other, stick together, and grow. It's like a slow-moving traffic jam in a narrow tunnel where the cars eventually weld together into a solid block. You're left with a jagged stone that eventually has to pass through a very small exit, all because the caffeine forced your kidneys to throw away the water they desperately needed to keep the system lubricated. It's a domino effect where one chemical choice leads to a total mechanical breakdown of your body's fluid balance. The proprietary blend trap. Did you ever look at the back of a brightly coloured can or a sleek tub of powder and see that vague term proprietary blend? It sounds like a secret recipe from a 5-star chef, but in the supplement world, it's often a legal smokescreen used to mask the true dosages of what you're actually swallowing. This is where the real gamble begins for your renal health. Brands use these labels to dump in massive amounts of stimulants like yohimbine and guarana without telling you exactly how much is in there. Here is the kicker. Guarana isn't just a natural herb, it's a caffeine bomb that can pack up to 4 times the punch of a standard coffee bean. When you combine that with synthetic caffeine, you aren't just getting an energy boost, you are sending a chemical tidal wave straight to your organs. The real danger lies in the cocktail effect, particularly involving taurine. Now, in small amounts, taurine is actually okay and can even protect cells. But when it's tossed into these high-octane blends, alongside synthetic stimulants, the chemistry changes. It starts messing with how your renal cells manage the balance of water and electrolytes. It's like having too many cooks in a tiny kitchen. Things start to clash. Because these liquid stimulants are absorbed so rapidly, they often bypass the liver's first-pass metabolism. Usually, your liver acts like a security guard, breaking down substances before they reach the rest of your body. But these blends are designed for speed, meaning they hit your kidneys as raw, unprocessed, and highly concentrated compounds. Your kidneys are then forced to deal with the full, unbuffered strength of these chemicals. It is a direct assault on the renal system that bypasses your body's natural defense filters. You're basically asking your kidneys to process a mystery chemical soup that hasn't been properly vetted by your metabolic system. And the proprietary nature of the mix means you don't even know how high the stakes really are until the damage is already done. Pre-workout and nephrotoxicity. If you're a gym rat, you've probably been told that creatine is the holy grail of muscle building. And for a healthy person with a balanced diet, that is mostly true. However, the fitness industry has a more is better obsession that can turn a helpful supplement into a renal nightmare. We need to talk about the creatine to creatinine pathway. Your body naturally converts creatine into a waste product called creatinine, which the kidneys then filter out. This is a standard process, but the wheels come off when people start loading phases, slamming down 20 grams or more a day. When you combine that heavy load with the intense heat of a grueling workout, or the inevitable dehydration that comes with pre-workout stimulants, you're creating a toxic environment. This is where we see the clinical emergence of acute interstitial nephritis. This isn't just a mild ache, it's a serious inflammatory reaction within the kidney's tubules. Think of it like an allergic reaction happening inside your filtration system. The clinical studies have seen cases where dedicated lifters show up at the doctor with serum creatinine levels that are through the roof. When those levels spike, it's a massive red flag. It's the primary clinical marker for stage 1 or even stage 2 kidney injury. You might think you're just working hard, but your blood chemistry is screaming that your kidneys are failing to keep up. The pressure of the workout, the lack of fluids, and the sheer volume of supplements create a perfect storm where the kidneys can't clear the creatinine fast enough. It builds up, the tissues become inflamed, and suddenly your pursuit of a pump has landed you in the territory of genuine nephrotoxicity. You are essentially redlining your internal engine while simultaneously draining the oil. If you don't respect the dosage and the hydration requirements, and that pre-workout ritual isn't building your muscles, it's actively dismantling the very organs that keep your blood clean and your body functioning. Sugar, insulin, and renal hyperfiltration. And now look at the sweet side of the energy drink world, which is actually anything but sweet for your internal chemistry. Most people fixate on the caffeine, but the massive sugar payload, often ranging from 27 to 54 grams per serving, is a silent renal assassin. When you guzzle that much liquid sugar, your pancreas goes into a state of total panic, flooding your system with insulin to manage the spike. This leads to a condition called hyperinsulinemia. Now, you might wonder what a sugar processing hormone has to do with your kidneys. Well, insulin is a powerful signal that tells your kidneys to hang on to sodium instead of flushing it out. Suddenly, your body is holding on to way too much salt and water, which sends your internal blood pressure through the roof. To keep up with this chemical chaos, your kidneys enter a desperate state called hyperfiltration. They basically start running at 150% capacity, trying to filter blood at a breakneck speed that the body was never designed to maintain. This over-filtering is an absolute disaster for the structural integrity of your kidneys. Specifically, it destroys the podocytes. These are specialized foot-like cells that wrap around the tiny capillaries in your filters, acting as the ultimate gatekeepers to keep the good stuff in and the bad stuff out. When you force your kidneys to work in overdrive day after day, these podocytes literally wear out and detach. Think of it like a high-pressure hose, eventually tearing the mesh screen it's supposed to be cleaning. Once those screens are broken, the gate is wide open, and things that should never be in your urine start leaking through. This is called albuminuria, when essential proteins leak out of your blood and into your waste. Seeing protein in a urine test is a massive warning light that your filters are physically falling apart. You aren't just drinking energy, you are subjecting your renal architecture to a high-pressure sugar wash that's stripping away the very cells that keep you alive. It's a slow, invisible erosion that turns your high-performance filters into a leaky, broken mess. Rhabdomyolysis. Imagine you're at the gym, 3 scoops of pre-workout deep, feeling like an absolute machine. That God mode feeling is exactly what makes stimulants so dangerous for your muscular and renal systems. Because these drinks mask fatigue and push your central nervous system into overdrive, they allow you to go way past your actual physical limit. You're hitting reps and sets your body isn't structurally prepared for, and that's when your muscle fibers start to literally disintegrate. This isn't the good kind of muscle tear that leads to growth. This is a catastrophic breakdown called rhabdomyolysis. When your muscles shatter like this, they dump a massive amount of a protein called myoglobin into your bloodstream. Here's the problem. Myoglobin is a bulky, jagged molecule, and your kidneys were never ever designed to handle it. As this myoglobin flood hits your renal system, and it creates a physical plug in the tiny tubules that process waste. It's like trying to flush a handful of gravel down a bathroom sink. It doesn't just slow things down, it physically blocks the flow and causes a pigment-induced acute kidney injury. This is a medical emergency. The first sign? Your urine turns a terrifying shade of tea or dark cola. That's not just dehydration, that's the literal remains of your dead muscle tissue clogging your filters. The myoglobin is actually toxic to the tubular cells, poisoning them while it's stuck there. You're essentially suffocating your kidneys from the inside out with the debris of your own workout. It's a brutal irony. The drink you took to get stronger in the gym is causing your body to eat itself and then use the leftovers to shut down your life support system. And this isn't a long-term risk. It's something that can happen in a single high-intensity session if the combination of stimulants, heat, and overexertion hits that tipping point. When your urine changes color like that, it's a desperate cry for help from a system that is literally being suffocated by protein sludge. Long-term outcomes and recovery. So, where does all of this leave you once the buzz wears off and the gym sessions are over? If you keep redlining your system with these drinks, the cumulative damage leads to a grim finish line called tubular atrophy. This is basically the wasting away of your kidney's internal plumbing. After months or years of constant pressure and chemical stress, the tubules simply shrink and stop functioning, which is a one-way ticket toward chronic kidney disease. But here is the good news. Your body is incredibly resilient if you actually give it the tools to heal. The recovery path starts with what I call renal flushing. You need to stop the sludge by hitting optimal water-to-body weight ratios. We aren't just talking about a glass here or there. We are talking about consistent, clean hydration that keeps the GFR high and the filters clear. Beyond just water, you have to neutralize the acidic wreckage these drinks leave behind. Energy drinks are notoriously acidic, and your kidneys use up their own bicarbonate stores to balance that out. You can support this recovery by focusing on alkaline-rich electrolytes like potassium and magnesium. These minerals act like a soothing balm for your renal system, helping to regulate blood pressure and easing the workload on those stressed-out nephrons. By swapping the synthetic stimulants for a dedicated electrolyte balance and a high-volume water intake, you're essentially giving your kidneys a chance to breathe, flush out the toxins, and repair the minor damage before it becomes permanent. It's about moving from a state of constant chemical defense back to a state of natural, fluid harmony. So, thanks for watching. If you get some knowledge, please drop a comment with your thoughts, hit that like button, and subscribe so you never miss a health breakdown.